Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Hey everyone, this is Trash Poking a Filth, and you might be wondering, wait, but you've done this video before. You've done Alpha Protocol. And to that I have to say, yes, I know I've done it, and I've done the story. And this video is more or less that same story segment, just re-uploaded. The reason being is because I want to add more content to my channel, but also I want to add it to a playlist. So it's for people who want to know the story, but not have to watch the review. And that's perfectly fine, to be honest. Also, in the original video, I didn't explain who the character you play as is or what the game is about in terms of story, so think of this as a compendium to the original video where you can watch that then or watch this first. Either way, here's a synopsis of what the story is about, and add to that, I must stress a tiny bit has changed in this video compared to the original, but nothing major. This is just that video but repurposed for another reason. Anyways, here goes the story synopsis. In the year 2010, an American airline plane that was leaving Saudi Arabia was destroyed by stolen missiles unknown to anyone. The missiles were launched from the terrorist group Al-Samad, an anti-American terrorist organization, and it confirmed that the terrorist leader Al-Shahid admits and gloats to the world what they have done. As tensions rise, the American government questions how they administered such weaponry. When examining the missile's origins, it's found to be American-made and that they supposedly stole them in secret from the classified corporation named Hellbench. Unbeknownst to anyone how many missiles they stole and how many they possess, the American government can't have this information leak or have the issue on hand to continue. So they created a secret operation to recover the missiles from Al-Samad, how many they stole, how many they have, and how they stole them. With quick swiftness and no time for diplomacy, Operation Desert Spear was launched, with new agent Michael Thornton entering the field. As Michael enters, he soon discovers that not all as it seems. He uncovers a massive international conspiracy that threatens the political stability of the world, targeting key cities and nations in chain reaction, attacks and plots. The next 3 months are suddenly a heart-stopping race against the clock and a battle against grand forces, as Thornton must navigate a secret world of secrecy, danger, and conspiracy to prevent World War III. If that sounds cool, then please play this game. While the gameplay sucks, the story is pretty cool and is something I think you might enjoy. If not, then here, watch this, boyo. My original story review, just a tiny bit different. So if there's any mistakes, you can point it at all me, because I'm not going to bother fixing them. I would also like to mention something that I said in the review. I cut it out and put it here because it'll just make more sense. Because the game is an RPG, you have branching storylines that could go different places in different areas. And so, my story might be slightly different towards yours, and that's it. Anyway, to the story, just know it's a bit cringe because when I was looking back at it, I was like, why did I say that? That's really bad. Oh no. I haven't seen it for like a year, oh my god. I would also like to mention that I know the audio is all messed up, but there's nothing I can do. I've actually lost all the edited recorded footage. I have my playthrough, but not the edited version of those, including the audio. So if you notice the audio being bad, I'm really sorry. There's not much I can do. So anyway, to the review. The game starts with FOV where it shows missile hitting a plane. The camera then zooms out to show news channels broadcasting the event. Then the camera zooms out some more and it shows a man in a suit who says some dialogue and another man near the door. I'll get back to this later in the story. You're then shown that you've been drugged and have been awoken to an area you're unfamiliar with. You find a phone on top of a counter. A random woman is calling you. She tries to help you finding a way out of the area before being cut off. So you fight your way through a bunch of enemies until you reach a room with a giant monitor. A projection of a man tells you that's enough. He explains that they drugged you so that the place you're in stays hidden. He tells you they need to brief you. Once you reach the weapon hall, you meet the lady who you were speaking to on the phone. But she's such a bint. She's so aggro for no reason. The first thing she asks you is, do you know her name? And if you get that wrong, she's so rude. Like, shut up, girl. Because right after that, when you ask the question, she's even more rude. After the conversation, you need to do the weapon training. But seeing as I've already talked about the weapons, I'm going to skip over it. The next thing you need to do is talk to Westridge. And he just asks a bunch of questions that basically go over the game's RPG dialogue system. It's here we find out that you're Mark Thornton, an agent of Helbig. You were brought to the Alpha Protocol program by your own will. The reason is one of many that you can choose from. Mine was I'm here for the thrills. A quick mention is that in this game, they use a lot of past and present events in this campaign when talking to the man in the suit. I'll talk about those events, but in a way that seems more natural to the story instead of it being convoluted with some back and forth. Moving on, you're told that a terrorist group Al-Samad stole missiles from Helbig, the organization you're from. Westwood tells you that Al-Shahid, the group's leader, was responsible for the shooting in Middle East. Westwood then tells you to get ready as you're going to head to Saudi Arabia to find Al-Shahid, get the missiles back, and then kill him. So you get sent to Saudi Arabia's safe house, where you get to choose what mission you want to go on. Each one can be selected whatever you want in any order. There are usually 3 to 4 missions in each area once the mission is selected. You talk to your handler who goes over the basic information about the mission. After doing the minimal tasks in Saudi Arabia and move on to the last mission, go after Al-Shahid. Once confronted about a missile Shahid stole, he goes on to saying Helbig shipped him the missiles and then branded him the thief. He also states that the data they stole was also given to him by Helbig. I only have 2 choices in the matter, to kill him or believe what he says. In this case, I have no reason not to believe him, and right after the conversation, I go ahead and talk to Westridge. To then, the missiles were launched on my location, where Mina tells me that Helbig was the one who launched them in order to get rid of the evidence, with Mike in it. Lastly, she informs that Mike is now a rogue, working for no one by himself. It's not safe to return as the government will outright deny he was ever part of Helbig. Mike retreats to a safe house in Greece. And again, how did he get to Greece with ease like that? Excuse me, but are you rogue? How did he go from Saudi Arabia to all the way to Greece without being detected? In the very next cutscene, we're shown that both Mike and Mia are trying to figure out what Helbig is doing in 3 different countries: Moscow, Taipei, and Rome. With the information we're given, Mike and Mia figured that Helbig's big goal is to raise global tensions and start a new Cold War. But why, they're unsure. So Mike's now on a public airline. I meet this lady named Scarlett. She's a photographer. Even though Mike is now rogue, why would he travel on a public airplane? Wouldn't it ever know where he is, just making it easier to catch him? The game never specifically says, hey, you got fake ID. Hey, you got this. No, the game's just like, don't worry about it, fam. You're all good. Fake ID, don't need that. Your name, Mike. From here, the game allows you to travel to 3 different countries, but one at a time, of course. I decided to go to Moscow first in order to learn who was the distributor for the missiles and why they did it. So when you reach Moscow, Mina and Mike are having a bit of banter.
Nice digs. I see where all that Black Ops funding really goes now.
Invoking Alpha Protocol does have its upside.
Jealous.
Please, I've used much nicer safe houses than this.
You are so jealous right now.
And that's where I knew I was going to get Mina to be my romance. And no one's going to get in my way. Besides Scarlett, of course, because, my first mission here is to sneak aboard a cruise ship from an underground mob boss who might have connections to Helbig. I then will have to steal data on what he might know about the missiles. Mike goes to get the data, but not shortly after, he gets ambushed with a Tumblr emo girl and her goons. It seems like they were also after Laszlo, but after killing him, they let Mike go. But then they want to kill Mike. Like, hold up! If you were gonna kill me, why not do it when you had me outnumbered? So I fight the girl named Sis. Knocking her out, I get an option saying kill her or let her go. I decided that it's best to let her go and try to gain more connections if possible. When I get back to base, it seems the group I fought has infiltrated it by hacking their way onto the monitor. The group's leader is Albatross and the organization is called G22. Albatross requests that we meet face to face. So we do that, and what he tells me is that we should cooperate. I agree, and that's just about it. My second mission is to contact a man named Grigori who might know where to find connections, to who might know something about Helbig's involvement with the missiles. He gives me a name, an underground businessman named Sergei Surkov. But before I can do anything, my third mission is to go to Leningradsky Station, find any clues on the missiles. Once I'm there, it seems that there's a gang war occurring, leading to a new character, Z, like the Z's when you go to sleep. It's a small army. She's informed about who I am and proposes that we work together. I agree, and once again we're off to investigate. There's a computer nearby with all the information about the missiles that we need, and we move on to the next mission. When I get two choices, either let C be the one I'm cooperating with, or G22. I go for C, and we move on to my next mission, to finally go meet the man named Sergei Surkov. After I chose Z, Mina and her just start throwing insults to each other, with Mina dishing out one of the best in the game.
Receiving the link request from BCI. Are you sure you want? Shh, little girl. Time for the big boys to play now, yeah?
Z. Well, that explains the overabundance of testosterone on the line.
My first and only objective is to go and talk to Sergei. Once I've managed to get into his building, for some unknown reason, G22 starts shooting up the place when I reach Surkov. I have to protect him from the people that I just said I'm gonna work with. Makes sense, checks out. Once that's been dealt with, he tells me that Helbek is smuggling weapons through Moscow, and that he reveals that he was working for Helbek. He was the go-to guy for smuggling weapons, but there was a falling out between them, and now Helbek's found another smuggler, a man by the name of Konstantin Brayko. I have to find him and kill him, or at the very least stop him. This is when I find out Sergei also has the Russia's boxing champion, ironically named Champion Chick, to protect him from Brayko. So Mike and Z bring the big guns to Brayko's mansion. From the very beginning, we start shooting down all of Brayko's men. At some point in this level, Z gets captured and I have the choice of to go after her or the data. Being the hero I am, I had to save Z. After I save Z, she tells me to go after Brayko. So after the boss fight, that is Brayko, I ask him about Helbek, but he seemed to be confused about as to what I'm talking about, and had no idea aside from Surkov being the smuggler and that he did nothing wrong, as he was working for Surkov until Surkov threw him out like trash. That's when Brayko stole the data and the missile information and sent to Al-Shahid. That's when Mike realizes he's been set up by Surkov. So back to Surkov I go! Well, Mike gets to the area, it's quiet with no one around, and then suddenly Surkov's men all pop out of nowhere trying to kill him. Mike eventually confronts Surkov, and the reason why he lied is because he knows that Brayko might be the next handler. Surkov still thinks we're friends, so I attack him. That would have been the case if he didn't run away. Champion Chick wants to fight me, hand to shotgun. Why did he think he was gonna win? I don't know. I just demolished this man like he was nothing. Anyway, Surkov doesn't get very far when Mike shoots him in the kneecap. This is when I get the incriminating evidence on Helbek, and that's it for Moscow. Moving on to Rome. In Rome, my goal is to investigate Helbek's connection to Al-Samaj cell. There's also a man named Markberg who I should be wary of. The first mission, bug the CIA in the comms without killing anyone. This was a little stressful, but I was successful. When I get back to base, someone by the name of Madison was looking for me, but my mission comes first. So I move on to the next one, where there's nothing to mention aside from the goofs, like when this ice cream man comes out, he's licking the spoon that rubs it against his head, and Mike's face is priceless. Like, excuse me? And then the ice cream man looks like, oh shit, he caught me. So I'll continue and move on to the next mission, where a man by the name of Al-Bara might have connection to Shahid. When I find him, it's unclear if he does anything shady. I have the choice to kill him or abort the mission. I abort the mission to them when I get back, an email is going off. Oh yeah, this is a mechanic that I never did mention, as there was no reason until now to do so. In the game, you will receive emails from people that you will meet. This is a good way of learning more about them. This in turn can get you a better or worse reputation with the emails you send. The email system can also gain you some money, as the more missions you go on and the more you hack emails, you can then blackmail certain emails to then send you money to keep your mouth shut. Anyway, back to the real story. So an email was going off, I go to check it out, and it's from Al-Bara. He somehow knows I was after him. He then proceeds to type, if I had the guts to kill him in broad daylight, so I'll set up a date with him. When I go to meet him, it turns out I've been dumped, and Marberg instead is one that pays me a visit. To boil down the conversation, tells me that Al-Bara was killed, and to not interfere with Helbek unless everyone I know and care about will die. When Mike gets back, Madison is persistent on finding him, so he calls her. She says she has information that might help him, so he meets up with her at a cafe. She tells him Marberg intends to kill him and that he's dealing with illegal activity outside of Rome. She also informs him that he will destroy all evidence on the Alpha Protocol program afterwards. Mark then proceeds to take Madison back to his safe house. If Mopik is going to destroy all evidence, he currently will still have the data on him, so Mike has to infiltrate Mopik's mansion. When he gets there, he's asked to give up everything he knows. He refuses, and then Mopik proceeds to have his guards beat him up. Mopik then leaves the room and lets his guards do the rest of the work. I fight them, and then I get the choice of choosing what handler I want. Z, Madison, or Mina. I first went for Z, but I got -2 points from Mina. I then loaded up the level again, choosing Madison. I got 1 negative point. I then reloaded it again, choosing Mina, and this girl didn't give me any positive points. Like, hello, excuse me, what did I do wrong? So I was like, forget you then. I reloaded it once more, choosing Z. I recovered the data and leave the mansion. With the data received, it's shown that Mopik intends to blow up an art museum, killing thousands of people, so I have to go there and try to stop him. When I get to the museum, a video is sent to my phone where it's shown Madison was kidnapped from the safe house. Going through the level, you reach a point where you find out Madison was brought to the museum. You'll have a choice to save Madison or defuse the bomb. Obviously the bombs are top priority, so you go and defuse them, where Mopik congratulates you on following the mission to then he kills Madison and we have a fight. After you beat Mopik, he runs away once he's getting bullied. But my only question is, why would I care about Madison? Like, I know I should, but she's so forgettable, and she's not even included in the story all that much that it doesn't matter at all. I just love how Mark just watches Madison getting shot. Like, why were you holding your weapon? He was just standing there. You could have shot him, or you could have shot the gun out of his hands, or at least shot around him, or something, to just be like, hey, look, you're not gonna shoot her, man. But that's basically Rome. We now move on to Taipei, the last location. The job to prevent the assassination of President Sung. The first mission is talk to an underground mob boss to see if he knows anything about Helbeck and the assassination. When I get there, he won't say anything until I do a task for him, kill all his ex-employees. So I do that, and we're told that Hong was the one selling weapons to the terrorist group Al-Samad. He also gives a USB with info on the assassination as well as the name Omen Deng, someone who I should be wary of. After that, I have to find a man named Stephen Heck, and, well, he's a very colourful character. When Mark gets there, he's torturing a man and has wild theories about nonsense, but he does say that there is international meeting with Sung being a speaker. The next mission is, you guessed it, to recover more data, this time from the NSBC hotel. So I go there, and this is the first time I'm with more people other than myself. Heck, Mina, and Scarlet are all part of this mission. They help Mike retrieve the data needed for Sung's assassination. During the mission, Heck asks to have his personal details ever existing, but the choice came up: erase his files or save the data for assassination. I went for Heck's information because why the heck not? I'm so funny. Next, find information on the assassin Omen Deng and his plans on the assassination during the mission. Deng ambushes Mike and puts him into a storage room. He then gives one of his men a USB that we managed to take later on in the mission. On the USB, it contains both the assassination and the riots, but only one could be selected before the USB will corrupt all of its files. The assassination made more sense to me. Right after, Mike goes to Sung's office to give him the USB, but Sung doesn't take it very seriously, so Mike has to take care of Omen Deng before he can assassinate the president. When I get to him, Mike and Omen have a little scuffle, and right after, Deng explains he was never the assassin, instead he was a double agent. Dun dun dun! And Sung gets shot anyway. But when all hope is lost, it's revealed he took Mike's advice to wear a bulletproof vest. And that's it for Taipei. The assassin was never caught, but the attempt was futile, and finally, we reached the end of the game. Mike goes to another safe house, and Mina was there, but she gave news that Helbeck is trying to create a real Cold War. And this is when the whole thing pays off, baby! When I get the choice of kissing her, like hell yeah! I have been longing for this for quite some time, but it's also the last time Mina will be a handler. Nevertheless, Mike travels to Saudi Arabia, tells Osman that the final phase to all of this is occurring, and that he wants him to make a video exposing Helbeck with all the information he's gathered. For the final mission, you'll have the choice of selecting what handler you want, C, Albatross, Heck. I went for Z as she's the one I'm most familiar with. Mike then proceeds to go to Helbeck and gives himself up. This is when the intro FOV started. This is also where the interrogation scenes were being played out. I didn't mention these until now because they never mattered until now. They were just there to make your decisions in a campaign more thorough. The man's name is Leland and is the leader of Helbeck. Throughout the game, he tries to provoke Mike into telling him everything he knows about Helbeck and all his shady dealings. And he's the one for setting off all the events in the game, starting with the missiles to the bombs in Rome to Madison's death, the assassination attempt on President Sung, having Surkov be the weapons smuggler. Everything was because of Leland, all for the sake of national war, to gain more profit. After being interrogated, we're met with Martberg again, who we never get to kill or frame. He just walks away like nothing happened. And that's really annoying. I really wanted him to die or face the consequences of his actions. At any rate, Mike is restrained and brought back to the beginning of the game. Z helps him get out, but during the level, Z is numbered and Mina was taken hostage. But the building was gonna blow up, so I had to make a call. I went to help Z. Unfortunately, a static image of Mina being tortured and killed was shown with Westridge mugging her. Once we get out of the building, Mike had to shoot his way towards Leland. He sent his lackeys to fight Mike. From there is Westridge himself, who comments that Mina was the person to first send the missile. Being him results in the option to execute him or kill him. I spare him and handcuff him instead to see his life being dragged across in a state of misery. From there, the last act is Leland. Mike interrogates him, mocks him, and then executes him with one of the worst and best endings I've seen. It shows Mike, and that's basically the game. But the end cutscene is probably the worst and best thing I've seen. It shows Mike on the boat monologuing to himself. It's pretty funny and disappointing. But what happened to the characters throughout the game are never mentioned. That's why it's so disappointing. The ending themselves are the same with several different variations, but the overall ending's the same. You're on a boat with someone with a different hint of dialogue. This game might not be the best ending, but the journey that it took me on was worth it. But like I said before, this game has variety and a whole lot of different choices and routes that you can go on. You can find out who the assassin was. You can kill Martberg. You can side with different political figures. It's very open-ended, and that's why I really like it. But for everything else, I can't say much. There's just too much here to dislike. So I can see why reviewers at the time didn't like this game, because I didn't like this game. The only thing I liked about it was the story. In any case, that's it from me. Yeah, I suppose if you want to see more, you know what to do. And see ya.